Hello everyone, it's Kat and I am back filming. I'm quite excited. I actually haven't filmed in quite a few weeks because life is very busy. So I'm going to sit down today and do my monthly check-ins for a few things. So if I look the same in the next couple of videos, that's why. Right now we're doing my Project Pan check-in. I'm very excited. I don't know if I've made heaps of progress this month, but I've made the decision to do like a halfway through the year reshuffle and incorporate some very ambitious but hopefully fun products. So hopefully there's some stuff going on that is exciting. You might also realize that I've cut my fringe, and I know that my hairdresser watches my videos. Hello Madeline, I love you. And I haven't seen her in a long time, and she's probably cringing at the fact that I cut my own fringe. But it was a post-wine late meeting 10 o'clock at night decision, and I'm trying to make the best of it. I'm also trying to train my fringe to sort of be a full fringe, but it just wants to go to the side because it hasn't been like this since I was 7. So we're rolling with it. Pretend if you hate it, like I'm hoping it will sort itself out soon. So just there's that. Let's get on to the products. So in the last month, I have used up quite a few things, especially since I actually left my Project Pan makeup bag at my parents' place for a week. So the fact that I had this, like that's why this is a bit delayed, because I wanted to make up for some lost time. I've used up all these products. So the first one, which is not that big a deal, it's the finishing or sort of primer spray, which can be a finishing spray, can be a primer spray from Smashbox. I've used this one up. I've got 2 more of these little bottles, so I think I'm doing all right with that. I used up my micro brow pencil. So this is from e.l.f. And it is all gone. I was using it most days because I've also got that brow powder in here. And that is not the easiest thing to use because you need to either use the weird sponge applicator, which isn't very precise, or you use like an angle brush. And I can't be bothered every day. It's so much easier just getting a bit of a pencil. So this one was the thing that I sort of favored over that, and that is done. My Huda black pencil, I've used up the pencil side of it. So I'll have photos on the screen of updates, but essentially this had a pencil side. It also had a liquid side. A couple of months ago, the liquid side was starting to get like chunky and a bit funny. So I decided to focus just on the pencil side. I mainly used this, I'd put it on my top lash line and my tight line, and I'd sometimes smudge it into like a smoky eye, maybe put a eyeshadow over the top, and that's how I use that one up. So that one is done. I did introduce a brown eyeliner last month, sort of preemptively knowing that that will be done. So I'm not replacing that right now. I also used up one of my Hourglass lipsticks, which is great. So this is the shade I Woke Up. I introduced 4 of these at the start of the year. Now 2 of them are officially done. This one was, I think, the lightest nude. It was kind of the easiest one to wear, to be fair. But we are in winter now. So the good thing about it is that the deeper one I can probably wear a little bit more regularly, which is good. So this one is done. I've used up my 2 eyeshadows. This is my NARS eyeshadow duo, and they are completely done. So I'll have a photo on the screen of where this was up at last month, but I'll also have on the screen when I repressed the shimmer. So the shimmer had hit a lot of pan. It was kind of hard to pick up on the brush, so I repressed it so it was a bit softer and easier to pick up. The matte side as well had actually crumbled and half of it broke off. What I ended up doing was sort of grinding that into a bit of a powder, putting it with my bronzing product, and I used it as a bit of a face bronzer. So that's how I used those up, but they're done, and I'm going to replace this with a palette, and not a small palette, a big palette. So that is something that I'm very excited to play with because I have been enjoying actually playing with this palette, and I just want to see how much use I can get by the end of the year. So that's what's going to happen there. 2 other things that I'm planning on decluttering. One I think is, you will agree with me, it's quite a sensible choice. So it is my Lorac. This is the Cat Lady highly pigmented satin lipstick. Now I introduced this last month and I love the color of this. This is such a beautiful color. It's so buttery, it's so smooth. I did mention that it smells bad, so it smells like lipstick that's gone off. It is quite old. But the problem is, compared to when I last wore it, prior to introducing it into the project, it now tastes bad. So when I put it on, I like taste the bad smell, and it is so unpleasant. I've used this maybe a handful of times in the last month, which I probably shouldn't have. Like my lips haven't broken out into like welts or anything, but it's just not pleasant, and I should not do it. So this is being thrown out. And then also, and this is a very sad one, my Lana Lips. This is a lip balm, the tinted lip balm, SPF 30 in the shade Nectar. This is just not a great color for me. And it is very pigmented for an everyday sort of lip balm. So I've got to wear a decent full face to carry this off. Also, when I tend to put this on without a mirror, I tend to over apply this, because what I like to do with lip balm is almost like use it like a lip treatment where I'll put quite a lot on. And because this is so pigmented, I'll look in the mirror and I notice I have like this line of like product around my lips, often overlining my lips, and it just looks not good. So I just find that I don't have a good time using this. I've tried other products from their range and other shades of these kind of things, and they work really nicely. Just I don't think this Nectar one is for me. So I'm not a very good, like I love peachy blushes, but for some reason peachy colors on my lips, not great. Even though the formulation of this is fine, I just don't like the color. So I'm going to just move that on because I've just been struggling with it and not enjoying it. Before I talk about what I'm replacing those products with, I may as well give you updates on my other lip products in this project pan because I'm doing a big lip sort of overhaul. Now, I did lose this. Remember how last check-in I talked about losing this refill? It is the shade I Can't Live Without. It's the one I'm wearing today. It's a nice sort of berry shade. I really wanted to start wearing it because it's winter, so it's the right time of year. Now, I recently found this. There's still quite a lot to go, especially for this color. Like you need a very small amount. This is a beautiful color built up like I'm wearing it today, or I sort of sometimes blot it down to look more like a rosy tone. So I'm going to try to use this as much as possible, but there's not much usage when it comes to this because I had lost it for like 2 months. I found it, I think, in a jacket pocket or pants pocket or something. And when I found it, I was like, yes, oh, I've got you. So what I'm actually going to do is replace it into this packaging because this is replaceable, or refillable. So I'm hopefully not going to lose it again. I say that and then chances are I'm going to lose it again, but it is what it is. And then also I've got my other nude shade. So I did mention that I introduced 4 of these at the start of the year and now I'm down to 2. This shade here, which is that sort of more cooler nude, which suits me at the moment. You Are My. This one I would have been done with. This was another one that I lost and I was like, you can't lose it, Kat. Every check-in, you lose a damn lipstick. I still haven't found that mini Lana Lips nude color one that suits me better than that Nectar one from I think the start of the year. I keep losing things. So I've got quite a lot left, but if I hadn't lost this like 3 weeks ago, I would have made some really good progress. Now, funnily enough, I've been looking in bags and pockets in everything. I found this the other day. I was repotting a plant in my front yard and I found this behind the pot plant. So it was not a logical place that I would have looked at. It was only because a plant was getting upset in a little pot, wanted to be in a bigger pot, that I actually realized that what I must have done is watered the plants. This must have been in a pocket and fallen out. Would have been in the rain, would have been in the whatever, but it seems to work fine. So I'm going to keep at this, but that's why I've got like such little progress this month because I literally only was able to use it for about a week. And then it was mysteriously gone, but it's back. The good thing about having a bit of break from those lip products though is that I did manage to decide that I don't want to use the other ones, so I've decluttered them, but it also gave me some time to play around with other lip products and decide what I want to pan next. So I've decided I'm going to introduce quite a lot of products. Some of these I could have waited until that nude's done, but it's halfway through the year. I want to do it. I'm introducing all of these. Now I've got a bag of products that I've pulled out that I want to be testing and going, okay, which ones do I want to use? Because I don't really need any of these. So the ones that I've picked out that I feel like give a lot of variety they all look the bloody same, let's be real, but they feel very different on the lips. So I'm going to be trying to use up the Revlon Kiss Glow Lip Oil. So this is it. It's in the shade Bouncy Beige. And what you do is if you open it up, it does that weird thing. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you'll see this, but it does a weird thing where it wants to go back into the bottle. Anyway, it's a very interesting lip oil. I bought it because it looked interesting. We decided to do a video about it on Beauty News years ago. But it's also a fairly nice lip oil that's getting old, so I may as well use it. So this is going to be the lip oil that I'm incorporating, and it looks like, oh, see, it even goes out like that. It's very odd. but it's very sheer, so easy to wear. It's it's still a bit peachy, but less bold than the Lena Lips one. If I want a lip gloss that's a little bit more pigmented, I want to play around with these Pat McGrath ones. I actually have 3 of these lip glosses. This one is the probably darkest, rosiest one, which again, probably works best for me in winter, so that's why I'm focusing on it now. You can see it's a lot more pigmented. I'm just going to see if I like this. It feels a lot stickier than I remember, so is it going bad? I don't know. Am I going to use it? Do I want to declutter it? That's the real question. So when I lost my lip products, this was actually the thing that I started reaching for quite a lot because it looks really beautiful in winter and I really like the smell and the formula is quite nice. So it's by e.l.f. And it's in the shade Happy, and it's this beautiful sort of, it's got that hydrating core, but it's a nice cool tone, sort of rosy shade. It's got a bit of brown, bit of mauvey, and this is like my perfect winter nude. So you can see how that's peachy, that's more sort of mauvey. That is gorgeous. So that is what I'm probably going to reach for the most out of all of these, to be fair. Lastly, I've decided to incorporate this Jouer, I think it's called the Lip Enhancer Shine Balm in the shade Amaryllis. Now this is again a nice sort of more brownie nude. So you can see it's a lot more browny compared to the other ones. It's a shade that I really like wearing, but also this one is starting to, I think the smell is going a little bit. So I want to use this up before it turns bad. So I'm adding in all of these. So I've used up 1, I'm taking out 2 and adding in 4. That equation doesn't really work out, but I don't really mind. I actually used this Smashbox primer water up a couple of weeks ago, so I naturally started using the Air one to replace it. This was up to the top, I didn't mark it, but it's now halfway through, so this should be done by next check-in. I'm sort of burning through these, which is good. I'm not replacing the eyeliner like I mentioned. I'm not bringing in a new brow product because I still have the powder, but to replace, again, this maths don't really work here, replace these 2 eyeshadows, I'm going to be incorporating a whole eyeshadow palette. Now this eyeshadow palette, it looks like the Too Faced Sweet Peach, and it does contain some shades from the Too Faced Sweet Peach. But I will link a video down below where I went through my Too Faced palettes and I decided to keep some, get rid of some, and then depot some to make my own custom palette. And this is my custom palette. So this is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I've been really enjoying wearing this the last week since my NARS eyeshadow has been finished. Now there are some shades I probably won't finish, like the purpley shades. I mainly use this sort of area on a daily basis, and I'll use like 1 or 2 shades, and I really enjoy it. The formula is very nice. It looks very, very similar, but they do have different undertones. Like for example, this one is quite bronzy, this one is quite rosy, this one's a little bit more goldy. Here, we'll zoom in. I love these kind of shimmers all over the lid every day, which is why I have so many of them. I am actually missing like a lighter brown. I've been mixing a lot of these sort of cream mattes with some of these shades to get a crease color, but I'm just going to use this until the end of the year and just see how I go with it. Do I want to keep them all? Do I want to roll this over to next year? I don't know, but I'm enjoying using this, so why not? Also, I feel like these kind of colors at the moment are really good for winter, so I'm just going to roll with it. Like I said, I'm wearing these today and the formula is really lovely, so yeah, I'm having fun with it. All right, on to updates of the other products. Now I will also add in a couple of things here and there, so I'll talk about those and why. First thing I want to mention is this foundation from Fenty Beauty. I really struggle with this. I have been wearing this quite a lot. I'll twist it up. I think I weighed this, so I might have weights on the screen, but this is how much I have left of it. It's not much compared to where it was at. Like I actually had quite a lot more, and I have been using this a lot. Now, a couple of things I dislike about it. I have to wear this very, very lightly because if I build it up, it looks very cakey and it looks very yellow on me, so it's just the wrong tone. Also, it's a silicone base, so it fights with a lot of products. So if you have a silicone sort of foundation base, you should use it over a silicone primer. Otherwise, if you put over like a water-based primer or water-based skincare, it can start balling up and looking patchy, which is what this does. So I really struggle with this. I actually had this on today. I had it on my whole face, and then when I was about to film, I'm like, oh, this makeup looks so cakey and so yellow and so horrible that I had to actually wipe it off and redo the center of my face. So the only reason why I'm still going with this is it's very convenient. On days where I'm just like, got a couple of work meetings or pop into the shops, I can actually apply a very small amount, sort of blend it in with my fingers, not really care too much. I've got a little bit of coverage. So I feel like I'm so far through it that I just should keep going. So there's a place where I can use it in my life, but I still do not like it. And I'm dedicated to using it up by the next check-in. So that is something I'm really hoping for. But what I'm actually going to be incorporating in that I use to help that out a little bit, I've noticed that I've been using, this is by Laura Geller, and it is the Double Take Baked Versatile Powder Foundation. So they've got a few powder foundations. I really like the luminous one. I like the original one, but the shade match is not great for me. This one is supposed to be the more full coverage one. I don't like this on bare skin because I feel like it looks dry and powdery. But what this is quite good at is if I put a small amount of this on and then I go in with this just to sort of set it, I find that it does tend to stop this one from sort of patching up and looking uneven. It sort of locks it into place a little bit, gives it a little bit more coverage without looking too cakey. So a light dusting of this on the sort of areas where I need it works really well. So at the moment, this is a baked powder, so it did have a dome, but I've sort of almost got it down flat. I might weigh this, but I'm going to be adding this in to make this one a little bit more tolerable. On their own, I don't really like either all that much, but together I can handle it. So those two are what I'm focusing on. So because of all that, it does have a bit of a flow-on effect. So for example, that stick foundation, because it does clash with things, I am not using it with a primer as much as I used to. So my Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base isn't having as much usage. I will weigh this. There is going to be some usage. I can even tell by the fact that I've sort of almost completely hit pan. It's just around the sides, around the base. But I mainly use this as like a double moisturizer step. So sometimes, especially in the evening, if I'm up and I'm sort of editing, I might go, oh, I might put this on as a bit of a moisturizer just because it feels nice. But in terms of pairing it with that Fenty foundation, I don't like to do it. So this one, yeah, there's some progress, but it could have been probably done by now. Also, because I've been using that Laura Geller baked foundation, I find that I'm using less powder. So I've got these two powders that I'm trying to work through this year. I will put weights on the screen. I don't know if I've refilled my little e.l.f. container, so I'm mixing these in. So I've got the illuminating Laura Mercier powder and the matte one, and I'm sort of mixing them as like a 2-to-1 ratio and making my own custom powder that does set your base. It doesn't look too flat and matte, but it's also not too illuminating. I don't know if I've refilled this since my check-in last month, so I haven't been using as much. You can see there's only a little bit left that I'm using, but I don't tend to use this nearly as much because I'm using that baked one. But I do know that I've at least dipped into the matte one a few times. So I will have weights of these on the screen, but I'm not sure if I've actually decanted any more of this illuminating one. So there's no progress there. That's why. One product that's just not dying is my Kevyn Aucoin. This is the Neo Highlighter in Sahara. It's repressed. It's mainly the sort of bronzish side. The packaging is breaking, everything's going, but I have repressed this in the middle and I use this sort of like a bronzer. It's a really beautiful sort of slightly illuminating, very, very light bronzer. So I have been using this. There's still quite a lot left. So it's taking a while. I don't know if there's much progress from last month, but I do use this. I don't use it every day. I probably use it maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but there's that progress. With my MAC Glow Play blush, this is That's Peachy. It's a very pretty shade. It's that sort of putty consistency. It was very messy the other day. I scooped it all into the center because it moves around and it can get very messy. So yeah, I'll try to smooth it out to make it look a little bit nicer. But this is the kind of thing that you can sort of hit pan on or get close to, but then you realize it's just because you've sort of disrupted the middle of the pan a lot. Now I've got a lot more of this to go, but I do think I've made some decent progress. I want to keep this in my project, but I don't want to use a putty blush every day. I sometimes find it can be a little bit more effort blending it in, and on those days where I just want a really quick look, this I'm like, oh, why is it taking that extra few minutes? One thing that I've been reaching for when my makeup bag was at my parents' house is actually a Natasha Denona little palette. This is the Bloom Blush and Glow palette, and this is what I want to incorporate as well as the putty blush. So I'm not taking the putty blush out. I'm just sort of giving myself a few more options. So this palette has 2 cream products, which are actually behind a flap, which is handy. I actually like mixing the two. This is too dark for me, but I do like it for that sort of cherry cheek. But to make it a little bit easier to apply, I mix it with this light pink, which is too light for me. So that's too light. It almost looks like, I don't know, nothing. And this is too dark, as you can see. But together, let's just mix them together a little bit. They make quite a nice sort of color. So that's how I've been using those sometimes. So I'll just show them to you close up. You can see that there's some luminosity to those as well. And then there's this highlighter that has a little bit of like a nude tone to it, so it's not too frosty. And then there's this really pigmented sort of, it's like a peachy blush with a bit of a gold shimmer to it. And that's what I'm actually wearing on my cheeks today. And that sort of looks like a much more pigmented NARS Orgasm. So that sort of pinky base with that gold shift that makes it overall look a little bit peachy. So I'm mainly wanting to incorporate this because it is getting a bit older. It's got some cream products, so I want to use those before they sort of go bad. But also it just gives me the sort of blush looks that I'm after these days. Normally I don't go so prominent with the cheeks. So this is a bit bold, but lately I quite like the bold blush, so I may as well start using this while I can. Now, favoring that palette also means that I have been pulling back a little bit on my Nabla highlighter. There will be progress photos on the screen, but you'll see that it's actually, there's probably not that much progress, to be fair. I do use this. It is a different color to the highlighter in the palette, but I don't use it so much that you're seeing great results, but I'm going to keep it in because it is very pretty and I want to use it up. Moving on from cheeks, I do have my Sigma eyeshadow base. This, I think I've made some okay progress, but I feel like the month before I made extra progress. So we'll have progress photos on the screen, but there's just a little bit left. Like that's really not much. And it's very creamy. I am finding this is getting a little bit frosty looking, so I'm sort of fighting it. I've started pulling back a lot and only applying a small amount and really blending it out as my eyeshadow base. But I'm hoping to have this done by next check-in because there really isn't much left. With the eyeliner that I introduced last month, I have sharpened it once or twice, so I know there's a little bit of progress. It's still quite a decent sized pencil, but I know that this is quite soft and I can go through it very quickly. And again, I used this today on my eyes, sort of blended it out as like a bit of a smoky base and then put my eyeshadows on top. So if I do keep doing that, I'm going to use quite a lot of it. And I do find the pencils that you sharpen, you tend to go through a lot quicker than the ones that you twist up. So this one, I think I'm going to start seeing some fast progress on now that the black one is finally done. I realistically only finished the black pencil, I think, a few days ago. So we'll start seeing this one speed up. With my Benefit brow powder, look, I've been using this almost exclusively as my brow product now that the micro pencil's done, but it's really hard to see progress. Realistically, I'm probably not going to hit pan on that for quite a long time. I also use it sort of all the way along. So the dark end is actually firmer, so it's harder to pick up. And the lighter side is obviously easy to pick up, but I sort of use a combination. So I run my sort of applicator or brush along the whole thing, which means it's going to take much longer to hit pan. If you want to hit pan on a powder product quicker, you pick one section and just work away at that, like the tip or the start. But I've sort of just been swiping it all across and it's gonna take so long. When it comes to products that I need to weigh, I've got my Benefit 24-hour brow setter. I don't use this all the time, but I do quite like it. I know I have been using it a little bit, so progress will be on the screen. I also have my concealer, this Mecca Max concealer. I really like this. It is a little bit too light for me, so I can't, and it's very, very pigmented. Like it's crazy pigmented. If you want a reasonably priced, vegan, cruelty-free concealer in Australia, this one, and if you like high coverage, this one is a good one. I'm surprised. This one's going to go for such a long time because I just use the tiniest amount. Yeah, I like it. It's actually a really good one, but yeah, wait to be on the screen. And then also my mascara. I also have been really enjoying this. I was without it for that week, so progress might be less than last month, but yeah, I've been enjoying it, so that's great. So yeah, that was a big shake up. A lot of products I'm adding in and some really big projects like those palettes, but I'm not really expecting myself to sort of hit like one pan a month or anything. I'm just really wanting to see some usage by the end of the year and deciding, do I want to keep that palette? Is it something that I enjoy and I really want in my collection, or is it something I don't really need? So I'm just going to see where it goes. That's the plan. So let me know how you're going with your project pan. Are you finding that mid-year there's a bit of a slump, or are you finding that it's like a reinvigoration to sort of do as much as you can by the end of the year? Let me know in the comments. A big thank you to my members for supporting my channel. Mwah!